Will Evergrande collapse? Let's look at their backstory. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, because I want to have a look at a very interesting Twitter thread from Ming Zhao about the backstory of Evergrande. Now, if you haven't been following the news, everyone is concerned and worried that this huge property developer could collapse, could go under. And there are questions of whether, and this is in China, the questions of whether the government will bail them out and what's going to happen to all the normal people that have bought apartments there. What's also going to happen to all of the builders and tradies and people who are going to be affected by this. Well, so in doing some digging, I found this thread and I thought this is fantastic. I just need to go through the whole thing right here. And I recommend that you give Ming a follow on Twitter, guys. You can find her here. So let's have a look. The world demands answers. Well, yes, it certainly does. From Fortune 500 to 1.95 trillion in debt, how did China's number 2 real estate giant get to this point? How much cash does it actually have? Will there be a bailout? And who's going to get, well, in trouble? So here we go, story time. So she's got a picture there of China's Evergrande, and, well, look at the share price tumble there, which we've all seen. So, number one, how bad is the current situation? There's not much info on Evergrande's finances on the Western web, also known as Google. Well, she's right. So I had to dig through the Chinese web, Baidu. This post shows China's top 3 most indebted real estate cos in 2020. Evergrande is number 1. There you go, right at the top. So, point 2. According to the company's 2020 annual report, $675 billion, 35% of its interest-bearing debt, which means it is interest-bearing debt, which means it's incurring interest liability for $180 million every day. Comparatively, it only has $158 billion in cash to repay all its short-term debt plus interest, which means major defaults to come. And we've started to see that trickle through. So here's their borrowings, current liabilities, oh boy, and cash reserves, property and development. Look at that, how much it has in property. Completed projects held for sale. It's a tough game, everyone. So how do they get into such a terrible position? To start, real estate developers are notoriously known for having terrible, long cash conversion cycles. Long CCC means the company has tons of cash tied up in accounts receivable and or inventory and therefore not free. And here we have the cash conversion cycle for the 30 largest GICS industries. And there we go. Where's construction or development? Chemicals, building, commercial, textiles, machinery, electricity, pharmacy, real estate. Oh, it's off the chart. Okay. There you go. So number 4, real estate companies tend to have long CCCs because it takes many months per project to get from an empty piece of land to a marketable building. It could even take years depending on the size of project. All the while, construction is extremely capital intensive and the company needs to hold a ton of inventory and equipment. Number 5. But while Evergrande was already disadvantaged from the get-go due to the nature of its industry, mismanagement at the executive levels certainly exacerbated its cash problems 100x. Allegedly, Evergrande spends 1 to 2 billion yuan on football every year. Oh boy. And in the last 10 years, it burned more than 20 billion. What a waste of money. Maybe this is part of the reason why. Do you think the CCP is going to come to the rescue to bail out such decadence? But it didn't just stop at football. The real estate dev also established an entire subsidiary for electric vehicles, Evergrande Auto, another for streaming media, Hangteng Networks, an amusement park, Evergrande Fairyland, and a health chain, Evergrande Springs. So they really were just going nuts, weren't they? They were just going nuts. Is this the too big to fail? Too big to fail, guys. And there we go. Yeah. Good work. By 2020, Evergrande had erased 75% of all operating income, EBIT, compared to 2018. EBIT in 2020 was only 95 billion yuan compared to 355 billion yuan just 2 years prior. Furthermore, gross margins had also dropped greater than 10% from 36% in 2018 to 2024. Let's have a look. There, yep. So, okay. Wow. Look at that shift, guys. Look at that. Evergrande's gross margins dropped from 36% to 24%. Now, I can't read the Chinese here, so I'm trusting what Bing's telling us. Then on July 19, 2021, China's Yangfu Bank, one of Evergrande's biggest lenders, ordered a freeze of 132 million RMB in deposits. Two more banks, Hang Seng Bank and Bank of East Asia, then suspended new mortgages on Evergrande's two new projects in Hong Kong. The house of cards was falling. Now, this is interesting. This we can relate to here in Australia, guys. You've got certain developments where the banks will stop lending to them. They'll only expose themselves to so much risk per development, per building, and they'll stop lending. When are Evergrande's current debt obligations due? And I need to have a shot of coffee because the sun is shining on me. According to the schedule below, a significant chunk, 335 billion, is due end of 2021, and another 166 billion at the end of 2022. Exact dates are not specified. Let's cut off there. Does Evergrande have enough cash, EBIT, to meet its interest and principal obligations for all shareholders? No. So 11. What does the seniority waterfall look like? Who gets paid first? Who gets paid last? So number 1, the state. Evergrande's bank loans are state-owned assets and must be redeemed before all else. 2, suppliers, mostly in the form of commercial paper redemptions. 3, investors, and 4, employees. So 12. So what can Evergrande do now? 1, they can liquidate existing assets, i.e. land, for cash, restructure contract terms to push out maturity, debt to equity swaps, sell more equity, declare bankruptcy, and wait for a bailout. They're the 6 options. 13. So who wins? Who gets screwed under each scenario? It's quite simple. The state always wins because it'll be first to get paid and will always be able to force management to make decisions at the expense of every other stakeholder group. Everyone else is in trouble. 14. So here are her primary sources I used in my research. There's their 2020 annual report, not 10K because China doesn't abide by GAAP accounting. So if we have a look, there we go. And I might go through this in another video, everyone. Because when I first saw it, I thought this is English. Yeah, we'll go through this in another video, guys. And here is, what's this? Oh, from there. Okay. Let's Google Translate to this here. The era of real estate thunderstorm, starting with Evergrande. And this one here. You got to love Google Translate, guys, as much as you can trust it. Evergrande has a debt of 2 trillion yuan. And Zhu Zhang flew to Beijing overnight. Where did the Chinese property market money go? Well, there you go. 2 trillion, everyone. So, I think this was a great post. Happy weekend. And you know what? I'll like that. Thank you very much. And I'd suggest you give her a follow. Now, here's the thing with Twitter, guys. There's a lot of garbage out there on Twitter. There's a lot of terrible stuff out there on Twitter. But I find, particularly in the carnivore, ketovore space, there's some really good stuff. Fintech, there's some good gems in there if you just keep away from the wailing social justice nutcases. So, what's the takeaway to all of this, everyone? Well, we're going to see article after article just playing up the fear and the concern of what's happening here, which is completely understandable. People are worried. They're concerned this can spread to other parts of China and, well, to other parts of the world. There's concern that Evergrande's collapse or slowing down or significant stoppages will flow through to iron ore and resource prices here in Australia because they're a big user of steel over there. So we'll have to see. Here's the thing. The banks and the organizations, the investors that have bought their bonds and their debts, will they be able to weather the storm of these losses? Or will they just, will they lose some money and will it flow through? Is it the end of the world? Is it a new Lehman Brothers? We'll have to wait and see, everyone. I wanted to go through this as a bit of a backstory because we'll be looking at other articles and things as well. And this is really good to keep in mind. What do you think? Thanks for watching, everyone. Are you afraid or concerned about Evergrande? Are you worried that it's falling down? Do you think it'll have any impact? Or for most of us, will it be a big nothing? As always, thanks for watching. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I find and put up here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Sign up for SelfWealth or Stake. Use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve or AussieBroadband. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Thank you. Take care. I'll see you next time.